you seen that movie Den of Thieves?
That's what I asked. I asked Lauren that today. I was like, "Have you ever seen that movie?" And then we get here, and I'm a complete douchebag.
I don't need those guys now.
I told Lauren, I was like, when she gets older, all the boys are coming to the house, and she was like, "Oh."
You said that?
Yeah,
or she did?
Yeah,
Have you
I
seen
said
that
that.
movie?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. You
Yeah,
know the scene we're talking about then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I said all the boys are coming to the house for that first date,
Oh, yeah.
and she's like, "Poor Charlotte." I was like, "Poor guy."
Poor guy, yeah.
But if he can
Poor
hang,
guy.
then he's fine.
We know where to bury a body.
Yeah. Do you? All right.
181 into 14 engine 4, squad 1, truck 1, structure fire.
We got one fire out on a fire at the West Fertilizer plant. They just advised that something exploded there.
Michigan and Oak, one double accident, unknown injuries, Honor 19.
You know, it's funny because the first episode, we started and we didn't even say our names. We didn't say who we were.
Not introduce ourselves at all.
At all. And so I'm Rustin Scarborough, and we live in Amarillo. I've been a firefighter for 2 years now. I worked on the ambulance for, I guess, around 9 months. And yeah, I have a wife and 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son who turns 4 next week. So,
Oof.
I know, that's wild. But yeah,
Next month?
yeah, yep.
Dang, what y'all doing for it? Y'all doing a party or something?
Yeah, a monster truck.
Ooh.
I know.
You gonna get a monster truck for his party, dude?
Yeah, one's gonna come out into the front yard.
Does it gotta run over your car?
Drive down the street.
Literally, let it run over your car.
Insurance money. I don't know what happened. That's weird.
There you go. All right. Well, I'm Nathan Perez. I've been a firefighter for about 4.5 years now. Been with Randall for, it will be 3 years in November. Gone by pretty quick. I am also married. I have 2 kids and 1 on the way. So, yeah.
Nice.
That's it for me.
Yeah, you've almost got a...
Dang, 3. How you
Yeah.
gonna handle that?
I have no idea.
That's kind of like a nightmare of mine.
He's almost got a basketball team at home, dude.
Yeah. I don't know.
Y'all want more after this one? Don't y'all?
I thought y'all wanted like 6.
5.
6?
I'm
I did say that one point, but that was for...
I'm shocked that I said it.
Was that like when you still had one child at the time?
Yeah, that was before my first child, and
It's crazy how that works. Like, the more kids you have, the more you're like, okay,
Yeah.
this will be it. Okay, maybe one more.
Yeah, so no, we both have said we think 3 is probably gonna be where the cutoff is, but we've always said 4,
Yeah.
so we're just kind of like,
You might as well just make an even number at that point, you know?
I don't know, man. I'm kind of pushing to be done, so, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I got you. Well, my name is Heath Ray. I have been in the fire service for a little over 5 years. Before that, I worked nothing but food service throughout high school and all that garbage, and I basically just promised myself I'd never go back to that. So, I am married. I've been married for almost 6 years, and I have 2 kids. I have a daughter that's 4 years old and a son that is 6 months old.
How's baby life?
It is there,
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't.
Sleep deprived.
Yeah. He's a beefy boy, so I mean, like,
He is a
everyone keeps thinking, like,
He's a beefy
or everyone
boy.
says they're like, oh yeah, you know, the eating like every 3 hours like eventually stops, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
So
Charlotte tricked us into having another one because she was such an angel. And I was like, "Oh, dude, this is easy."
yeah.
And then we have a boy, and
Dude, no, that was opposite. Kinley was, oh my god,
really,
dude.
that's crazy.
Well, and also too, when Kinley was born, that was like peak COVID. So there was like, we had no help coming to the house. We had just moved out of town and lived in this little itty bitty apartment. I mean, there was nobody.
Yeah.
And
That's-
the department I was working for at the time, we went to 72-hour shifts.
Okay.
So I was gone for 3 days in a row,
Wow.
and then she was at home with our newborn. So that was tough.
Yeah,
But-
because y'all were in a new town also.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
in the same boat. I mean, because our daughters are like almost the same age, and like having your kid during COVID in a new town, you know.
So yeah, I mean, we had Austin COVID 2020, but not. We were still around family, so.
Yeah.
But I can't. Yeah, dude, I can't.
It's still,
imagine.
I mean,
Yeah, it was rough, man. It was real rough. Yeah, so that tested both of us
yeah.
to our wits' end, but we got through it, obviously, and then so we were like, okay, we were just praying, please let this second kid be better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Hudzy was top-notch baby. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well,
It
you
was-
know what
it
they
was
say.
nice.
I mean, you know, normally if they're a pretty good baby, then they're just like a little hellion running around.
yeah, well, we'll see what happens. And he's a boy, so I can actually like whoop
Yeah,
him. So
yeah.
you know, we'll see. I can't really do that to my little girl.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that's us. So welcome to Engine Company Podcast, episode 2.
I thought he was gonna say it.
2.
I haven't
I thought you were gonna say it.
it's not gonna happen, dude.
This is in gin.
Jim.
Yeah, I just there was some stuff that happened. I guess the guy already had that name and wanted us to change it. And it
Been
just,
a stressful couple of weeks. I mean,
trying
Rustin's
to get.
lost hair over it for sure.
I mean,
You got more gray.
well, I cut it off. So,
Oh.
but yeah, my grays were showing pretty
Show him,
hard.
dude. Show me your head.
He's seen my head shave.
Oh, you did?
I forgot that I could.
The stress that this man has gone through.
I worked with
he
you
had a
for
full
like
head of
2
hair before all
years.
this happened.
No, I know. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's seen my head. Bald.
Oh.
Yeah. This is how I normally keep it. I get lazy.
He had a mullet like Nate before all this stress
Yeah,
happened.
like a,
bad.
like a,
It's
like
like
a
a
cold
few weeks
sack.
ago. It's-
Sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife was like, "You look like crap."
You look like you deal meth.
Thank you, honey. It's the love that counts.
Yeah.
Um,
The honesty, dude.
But yeah, so we changed our name. So, but nothing else is changing but the name. So, we're still gonna do this every. We're trying to do 2 episodes a month is what our goal is. Nate's about to have a baby here in some months, and so we don't know
Nah,
kinda
we'll
how
make it
that
happen.
looks. But
We'll make it happen.
he says we'll make it happen. So.
Making it happen.
But yeah, real quick, just want to touch on our sponsors. Salty Ladder Apparel Company. It's a firefighter-owned company. We actually work with him, and he can customize your logo. Just make kind of anything you want. If you send him an idea, he can come up with something. And I guess we're gonna just pull that out.
Why not?
Whipping out the yellow bellies.
We're
dude.
whipping out the yellow bellies. We're all of age. It's and
You are clearly of age.
and thank you. And we're not on duty. Just so we're clear.
Yes, we're not.
Be weird if we were on duty and we were doing this. But yeah, he can customize anything you want. He did our logo. Nate's got a shirt and a hat, and so he's doing all kinds of logos and stuff like that. So hit him up. We'll put his link in the description and just on the screen right there. So
Yeah. He works with us. He was my rookie. Yeah, I mean, he's running that whole company, basically one-man show over
yeah,
there. So
and he gets stuff out like quickly, which is
firefighter
pretty
owned
insane.
and operated, like
Yep.
Yeah.
at the bone.
Yeah.
Like just one dude.
We will have a flag up here when it comes in. The
Eventually.
other one did come in and
Yeah, the day we found out we had to change our names.
said the opposite name, so we
Yeah.
just. But it's coming in. We'll get
Rip.
it in, and we'll have a flag behind us. So, but then I don't know if y'all noticed, but there's some glasses right here.
I did notice.
Yeah, so this is Frontline Optics, one of our other sponsors, and they make glasses for first responders, and they're freaking sick, honestly. Super clear. They have a thing where you pay $12, and if they get damaged, you can send them back, no questions asked, and some of the proceeds go to families and stuff that have lost first responders in the line of duty. So hit them up. Also, link in description right here. So
Use discount code ENGINE for
like just
15.
one word,
Just engine. That's it.
and all lowercase.
I don't know.
All right, we will
Probably uppercut.
we will put that. We will put that.
When I talked to him about it, he said no problem. We'll change it.
Okay, so in engine,
engine, 15% off.
engine.
We're so bad at this. So, what are we talking about today, boys?
Nate.
Talking about our individual journeys of becoming firefighters.
So the first chapter of this, like really getting into a job.
Yeah, so we for episode 1 we kind of briefly touched on why we wanted to do it. So now we're going to talk about what we individually did. So some people will go through EMT school first. Some people will go through the academy first. But we're going to touch on what we all did and what we recommend to those who are thinking about becoming firemen.
Nice. Well, let's just jump right into it. So all of our journeys look a little bit different on how we came into this, obviously. But so we work in an area that you're required to have your EMS certification. There's a lot of places out there that don't, and a lot of guys are flock to those areas, obviously, because I think we touched it a little bit on it last episode, but a lot of firemen like EMS, a lot of them don't.
Right.
But in our area, you have to have your EMT basic at least. So, Rustin, did you take your EMS first?
Yeah, so I took EMS first. I really wanted to make sure that I could pass that class going into it, and I'd quit my job, so I was like, well, I'll take that first and make sure I pass that, because that knocks a lot of guys out. A lot of
EMS
knocks a lot of people out. So because it's so much information. It's so much information in one semester, and then you have a state test that is extremely difficult for some people. And so because it's an adaptive test, so it's either you're doing really good or you're doing really bad.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make sure I could pass that, but like I said, I love EMT, and I enjoyed the class, and just really enjoyed. That's the only book that I've actually somewhat enjoyed reading.
Did you do it online, or did you do it like in a class?
So I did it in class, and it was actually just like 2020, and it was at the end of 2020 or end of 2020, and but I was.
So this was pre-COVID?
No, it was
or what?
Like December,
okay.
that semester.
And you still had it in person?
Yeah.
Dang.
So I was nervous that it wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if it's not, then I'm going to wait, because I know me and I can't do online stuff. Is very difficult.
Very, very difficult. Yeah.
That is a different ballpark.
Yeah. Especially EMT. Like, I don't know. I'd need to have somebody there teaching it in person. And so luckily, we were able to do that. But so I got that knocked out and then went to the academy. But
nice.
Cool. So you took it at the college here then, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Amarillo College.
Right.
Yeah, I took the night class, which...
Night class?
Yeah, they have a night class.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 5 to 9 or something like that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So
interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, so for those who are watching this and may not be in Texas or anything like that, just look at your local colleges, or just Google EMT classes. I'm sure you can find thousands of
Yeah,
options.
I mean, they
Or
have
even
them
go to
online
your
anywhere.
even go to your local fire station, talk to those guys and see where they went, or and you can honestly learn a lot about the best way to go about it.
Yeah, and most departments you can just walk right up to, either in now, since COVID's kind of over, but you can walk in or you can walk up to, and there'll probably be somebody out there, or at least see you. And you can talk to them about it, and a lot of them will love to answer that question. So
and if anything, it tells you a lot about where you're looking at going to work. I mean, if it's it's already kind of opening that door to talk to those guys and see what kind of culture there's around that firehouse and stuff, and then you're also kind of learning how they did it and all that. Especially, I mean, that's the best place to find it, because I mean, you can Google it and look online and everything, but
yeah. What about you? What'd you do?
So I had no plans of going to college, so I always just sucked at school.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally did decide that I wanted to go into the fire academy. So before I had to do that, I had to take remedial math and all this stuff, because I had terrible GPA throughout high school and all that kind of stuff. But I got put into the program, and my advisor at the time was like, a lot of people don't make it through this EMT class, and basically he was basically
this
saying,
one was also in class, right, at the college?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was 2018. But yeah, he was like, honestly, this will kind of show you if you want to do this or not, which I don't necessarily agree with because the EMT class, I mean, it's 2 days a week for one semester, and I don't know how many chapters are in that book, but one day of the week you are doing like 3 chapters studying and doing a quiz on that. 3 days later, you're taking the test on those, and then the next day you come back, you're working on the next 3 chapters. Like, it is just boom, 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 boom. So if you're not used to that kind of pace, I mean, obviously you're not probably going to do very well.
Right.
Or you're just going to, it'll teach you a lot about yourself and where I need to work. And that was my case. I mean, I was just like, I don't know how to study.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I flunked out of that. And then time rolled around for the fire academy, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and do the fire academy.
Yeah.
Because at first I was kind of discouraged, and I was like, man, if I'm having this hard a time, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut it, you know, basically. And I liked the material, and I was interested in it, but it was just like I just couldn't keep up, honestly.
Yeah.
It's so hard, and you get a chapter behind, and you're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you are just out.
I mean, at that pace, if you miss a day, I mean, you can just forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, you really can.
And, you know, I think the first thing you do in that class is, like, do the CPR stuff.
Yeah, CPR.
Yeah,
And they were like, honestly, if y'all don't pass this, you might as well just drop out.
Oh, you told the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
We had some people fail that test, and
Yeah.
they were like, you should probably change some of these answers.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you've never had any experience around any of that stuff, and then you're coming into these classes, like that was like one of my first college classes, and I was just like, dude, I suck.
Yeah.
Like, is this what they're all like? You know?
And that's an intense class.
Yeah.
to take,
Very.
So
Yeah.
I got into the fire academy, and I did all that, and it's the funnest 6 months I probably would like never do again.
Yeah.
But I did the Monday through Friday 8 to 5. I waited tables at night, and and I did good in the fire academy. So then when I got out of the fire academy, took all my state tests, then I hopped in a different EMT class that was offered at the department I work at now.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, you took yours to Bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so got all that done, and then I was certified, and then I snagged a job somewhere.
Hell yeah, that's
Nice.
awesome. Did
Yep.
you take yours online?
So
You
I
tried
took
online,
I
right?
took 3 classes.
All online?
No.
Oh,
So the first one was in the same. Is at the college.
Okay.
First class.
who's y'all's professor? Your professor, since yours was Bill. Was it
I can't remember.
Paul?
No, it wasn't Paul. He did teach a couple classes, but he wasn't like the main one.
Wade?
Yeah, it was Wade.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took Fansler, and he was awesome. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I was the same boat as Heath, dude. I got through the CPR stuff. I did that pretty well, but after that, it just went downhill quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very quick. Like I can't remember what job I had at the time, but I had multiple jobs going through the EMT school and fire academy. But this particular job I was at during this, I had to go into my manager's office. I was like, hey, like, I got to quit because I don't have enough time to study. I was studying like 8 hours a day, and that still wasn't cutting it for me. I could not keep up the same way, and I was trying my hardest to. And then the head instructor pulled me into his office one day and said, hey, look, man, you're falling behind. Like, even if you pass every test from here on out, you're still not gonna make it.
You're like, I know.
I was like, yeah. I'll never forget my first day in that class. I walked up to him afterwards. I was like, hey, I'm in the wrong class. Like, this seems very advanced. Like, what class am I really needing to be in? He goes, no, man, this is it. This is as basic as it gets. I'm like, are you serious?
That first class I was in, there was a dude sitting by me, and we're like taking notes, and it's like first or second day, and he's like, I'm honestly like, I think I'm just gonna go to the Air Force. Like, he was like quitting that day.
Yeah, no, dude, and yeah, people were dropping, right and left. It was crazy, but yeah. So that was my first class, and then after I got out of that one, I just got a job, and I worked until I could find another one, and I found an online class. Dude,
Bad idea?
bad idea.
Yeah,
that was
bad
a
idea.
lot of money I wasted too. So I tried that, and that still didn't work because I can't like teach myself material, especially something as complex as that.
Right.
I couldn't do it. So I quit that, and then or I failed out. I'm sorry, I didn't quit. I failed out of it, And then my uncle is a captain, or he retired. He was a captain at a department, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, this little small town neighbor in me is throwing a EMT class for like $300 for everything." And he goes, "You get your shirt, your book, your class. That's it."
Dang.
And I was like, "Sign me up."
Yeah.
So I did that,
Wow.
so I traveled from here to like an hour away 3 times a week
Dang.
to go take this class, and
I
they
guess I
were.
didn't realize that.
Dude, it was in Stinnett, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Dude, they were
the net through an
Yeah.
EMT class.
Hey, dude, they were the best instructors I've ever had for EMT.
Really?
Yes.
Dude, that's wild.
They would go above and beyond to make sure you understood the material.
Yeah.
So shout out to those guys. They were awesome.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I got that, and then I rolled into the fire academy shortly after. So,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I mean, talking about it is like when you come in a class first day, and we were young starting out, and like it was one of my first college classes, and they're like, okay, so there's 30 of you here. Yeah, there's probably only gonna be about like less than 10 of y'all by the end of this.
Yeah, that's what they
know.
said mine too.
And
Same.
I mean, when they tell you that stuff, and then you hit that material so hard and fast, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like no wonder a lot of firemen like hate EMS.
well,
because
then they also too they were like they hand you the book and they're like, I hope you
Yeah.
can teach yourself because I'm not a teacher, I'm an instructor.
yeah,
And I'm like, what?
Well, the thing that was funny too is there, in one of my classes, because I took EMT a long time ago, and I took, I can't remember his name, but I was like, how do I understand this material? And he goes, you read it, and I go, thank you.
what if that doesn't work?
That what? And he was like, yep, good luck.
Yeah.
And I mean that, and then he sent me on my way, and I'm like, not knowing
My
any not knowing any resources to help me.
Yeah.
And there's apps, there's YouTube videos, there's
Oh,
you
dude,
know,
Oh, that's how I passed my
YouTube?
national.
a million.
Yeah. YouTube helped me pass my national.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
100%.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, but
Well, and I mean, like you pay $60, and there's like these programs that are
Oh, yeah.
an adaptive test, just like you're gonna see on a national registry.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Yeah. And then because then you get to that, and that test is a different ballgame than your EMT class,
Oh yeah.
and you're like, what? And so
Did y'all pass y'all's NR the first time?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
After three classes though.
hey, it's
In
the
our first try.
time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. So I was working at a body shop, and I was checking every day. It took like a couple days for it to process. I think I took it on a Friday, so that was probably why. So I didn't find out till like Wednesday or Thursday. Dude, I was sweating like every single day, and I got the email. And I don't even know what I was doing. I just stopped what I was doing. Like I was in the middle of a job. I just stopped and walked outside and was just holding my. I was just holding my phone, looking at the email. I didn't open it yet. It didn't say you had to like log into your state thing to find out. I just sat there looking at it for like a couple minutes. I was just like, oh my god,
Dude, the 24 to 48 hours that you have to wait for like any state test, you're just like,
miserable.
Well, I got told they were like, if you walk out of the test feeling like you want to kill yourself, you probably did pretty good.
Yeah, I was
I
told
was
the
just
same thing.
What?
Yeah.
But it's true.
is,
And then
yeah.
I just like opened the email and it just said congratulations. And
Yeah.
I was just like, yes.
How many
Oh,
questions
yeah.
did you get to before it shut off?
Well, like I
remember?
think a little over 70.
Yeah, it was the same.
71.
So I was like, either it's really good or it is god awful.
Yeah. Well, see, and how we're talking about, it was an adaptive test. If you start failing at a subject, it's going to hit you harder on that subject until you either pass it enough or you fail it. Mine was OBGYN questions, and it hit like 7 back to back, and then it shut off.
oh my,
And I was like, I failed.
yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. And
That's funny.
And then, like I said, those several days later, I looked at the email and I passed.
Yeah, so,
I'm sure I looked like an idiot. I was in the parking lot, just like, like going crazy.
So me and Connor, Salty Ladder, we took it at the same time, same day. We walk in together. They, check our pockets. They check
Yeah,
behind.
it's like you're about to
I was
meet
like,
the
they check your
president.
ears?
behind your ears.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
like, can you fold your ears down,
They
please?
took my glasses. They're like, can we see your glasses? Like, I was like, am I going to meet the president right now? Like, who's back?
They
who's
could-
behind that
Secret
door?
Service.
They could be a
back
bomb.
there,
All right.
Yeah. So they check both of us. We walk in to the testing center. We sit across the room from each other. We finish with 71 questions, get up at the exact same time, and walk out together.
Oh,
and they were like, did y'all cheat? And we were like, mm-hmm. and they were like, Like, just got this shocked look, and I was like, I'm just playing. Please don't film me.
Yeah.
Please don't knock that test out. But it was crazy. We both passed first time.
Dang.
It was wild. Yeah.
Did you pass first time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Cool.
didn't feel that way
Yeah,
when
no,
I left.
I don't think anybody ever feels that way.
Yeah.
But
so.
yeah, no, that was EMT was difficult for sure. But that I would say the thing that it taught you, or it taught me for sure, was the will to never give up. Because going through 3 different classes was, and then failing those first 2 was extremely difficult. But
it's like disheartening.
yeah, it was like, man, am I really cut out to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget. I was telling Amber and the separate times, telling my dad too about how discouraged I was each time, and they both were said, "You just can't quit. You just can't. You have too much riding on this now. You have to go. You have to keep going." Yeah. And luckily it turned out the way it did, because this is the best job in the world.
Yeah,
100%.
That's awesome. Because normally people who try things multiple times, they'll get to that third and be like, I can't do this, and just leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I left for a little bit. I got mad and left everything for a little bit. But I think it took that time for me to realize I need to do this. So
I think that's perfectly natural.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're only gonna beat your head against a wall so many times,
Right.
And thankfully for my beautiful wife, I mean, she was my fiance at the time, but I was just like, I flunked out, and it was like one of my first college classes ever, and I was like super stoked to start opening this door, and I was just like, that ended so much faster than I
Right.
thought
Got
it would.
slammed in your face.
Yeah, and then she was just like, well, I mean, I guess you'll do it again, and I was just like, okay, I guess I will.
Yeah.
But if she hadn't been there, I might have just been like, well,
Something else.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do something
Yeah. And
that doesn't require my brain, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
Construction.
Yeah.
So, kind of talking about all these certs, I want to talk about how, because we all went to the same fire academy, right? So, kind of jumping off EMT and getting
The
into,
same
like,
place, but we weren't in the same.
No, yeah,
academy.
yeah, not the same place here in Amarillo, but not the same academy. So, I just kind of wanted to know like how y'all's academy experiences were, and so like kind of maybe difficult things that you went through in your academy. So whoever wants, whoever wants.
You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, so it was definitely like a shock. So, I mean, I was right out of high school. Don't let the mustache fool you, but I mean, I looked even more like a baby then. So, I mean, I got my fair share from all the instructors of like, they were like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, you look like you're 9 years old. But no, I went to the Monday through Friday 8 to 5. And, I was lucky enough at the point in my life when I decided to do that. Because, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that had I been in, 2 kids and a wife now. I mean, and I have all the respect in the world to the people that do that. Or even go to the night academy, like with a family, man. I mean, it is, I can't even imagine. But, yeah, so it is a little bit, it's like 6 months. And I it was the hardest thing I ever did, but I fell in love with it right away.
Yeah.
And especially just, I felt like I sucked at everything in my life. Like not sucked at everything, but like I never found anything I was good at.
Yeah.
And then I finally felt like, I actually found something that I might be good at.
That's
cool. And so going through that and then like developing a relationship with the guys I was just in it with, embracing the suck with. And there was times where it was just a lot of mental strain, a lot of physical strain. That was another challenge that there's nothing that really prepares you for the physical aspect of it until you're knee deep in it.
Until you're in it.
How'd you do with your first time in that wire box Did y'all go? Did y'all,
So we actually didn't do a wire
Yeah,
box.
I didn't either.
what?
Yeah.
That's where I figured out. That
I didn't do a
have
wire box.
claustrophobia.
I mean, we.
I didn't do a box until my first apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
But we
me
did
too.
the confined space trailer.
Yeah, we did that.
We did
Okay,
the
yeah,
trailer.
no, we did that 4 times.
Yeah.
The trailer?
Yeah.
Which my last apartment, you know, I went through a wire box, but you know, it was very rudimentary and like it wasn't bad. And then I came here, and it was like a true like real deal thing. And they were
Yeah.
like, "Have you ever been through a wire box before?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Nothing, man.
I was like, you know, I don't want to just be like, "Oh no."
That's our lieutenant.
You
It's
know.
like, remember, he says, you don't know you're claustrophobic until you are.
Until you find out you are.
And I found out that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the academy experience was awesome. You know, it's just like kind of high school again. It was really cool to just develop those relationships, and just like high school, it's kind of like you come to the end, and then it's like, okay, well, see you guys later. We're gonna keep in touch, right? And then
Right.
you don't.
You
But,
fall off.
yeah, what you know, that's not a big deal, but it was really cool to just kind of see that, and we had a lot of instructors that worked together, and kind of seeing from the outside the relationships that they had together, I was just like, man, that's pretty cool to
Yeah.
have that. I mean, you can tell that these guys have, you know, been through some stuff together, and
Yeah.
but I mean, I loved it. Like I said, it's kind of like it was a lot, and it's probably the funnest 6 months that, you know, if I had failed on my test, I'd probably be like, all right, moving on. I
Yeah.
probably won't do it again.
Yeah, would never do it again. Yeah.
That
You
was-
feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go? Or you want?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, so for me, I did. You know, I had that family, and like I told you in the last episode, Lauren let me quit
Did you
my
just
job.
have your daughter at the time, right?
No, we just had Austin. So
a newborn and the academy.
A newborn. Yeah. Yeah, he was like 6 to 9 months old, somewhere in there. And yeah, so but yeah, she let me quit my job, and but it really was kind of like high school again. And I'm 31 going through this, and I'm like, I get to act like a kid, you know. I get to hang out with my buddies, and I met some of my really good friends there that I'm actually still friends with to this day, that are on several departments around the Panhandle, and yeah.
Were you on the same academy as Connor too?
No, he was one after me, I think.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, and I mean, we had great instructors. They had their good days and bad days, just like everybody else. But my academy experience was a blast. Would I do it again? No, but
I don't think anybody.
I mean, I'd say
if
that.
I had the outlook that I have now,
Right.
I would do it again.
Right.
But at the time,
Yes.
not having a job somewhere, and if I would have just flunked out, you know, I probably wouldn't have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it was just so new to me. Like I've had hard jobs or whatever, but nothing as physically demanding. And it's not like in the academy you do physically demanding things, but not like when you go to a job.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but I was like the wire box. Didn't like that very much, so that took some training to just get even used to that feeling, mental.
Yeah.
And I'd never had to experience anything like that, and so that, and then having your mask on, and just the claustrophobia that you
Yeah.
feel from just that, and not being able to get that real breath, that took some time, and so
Yeah.
But everything was just so new because I knew nothing. Like I didn't have any family in the fire service, so I just was going in blind, but.
Yeah.
Getting into it, I'm so glad I did it because it was, like you said, the best 6 months. But now I think they go for 9 months because they start in August and they end in May.
Really?
Oh, really?
Mine was in January and it was just a semester. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The silence makes me feel
I was-
very nice.
Sure, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I did
mean,
the
I
night
know I
academy,
worked
so I
there,
don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I was
'Cause it was
different.
Monday through Friday 8 to 5, but yeah, I think because
Yeah, that's the day. That was the day academy.
huh? Yeah, the day
Monday through
yeah.
Friday's day-
Mhm.
day
You were
academy.
night academy,
Yeah.
so how was your?
But they don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
No,
no,
they
they
don't
got
do
rid of that. They do the hybrid academy now, which is online. So for those people,
More power to you.
More
that
power
you
to
can
you.
learn.
Man, yeah.
Because that's another challenge too. Is like I did not know how much like material and a lot of people get into it, like especially when now that we're teaching out there,
Yeah.
they were like, oh, I was never good at school, so I just thought I'd do firefighting. And then they see how much like classwork
Yeah.
and
It's a lot
bookwork
more.
it is, and
Right.
how much material you have to know, and it's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
Because it was for me. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I did the night academy, so it was, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Saturdays.
Yeah, it was all day Saturday, and I can't remember if I want to say it was like 4 to, no, I mean I think it was 6 to 10, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Saturdays it was like 8 to 5, something like that.
Do you hear my son? Yeah, he's.
He's
I
out
can
running
hear him
around.
through my headphones. That was weird. I don't know if you can.
I thought you were looking at me from my Zen cam.
Oh, no. Get your
I was
sins
like,
out, baby.
sorry.
That's
I mean, we're getting these out, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, no. So I did the night academy, and they don't do that no more here. But yeah, no. I worked. I was at the body shop at this time, so I luckily the guy I worked for, he was very very appreciative and very helpful with my schedule and everything. So he was like, yeah, dude, you just you work during the week, whatever times you need and whatever. So he was very very helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, mine was 2 semesters. It was rough.
okay.
It was very rough,
Yeah.
honestly.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and I was kind of the same way. It was like I didn't think like, okay, I'm not good at school, so I'm gonna go be a fireman. I didn't really have that mindset, but I still didn't like comprehend how much material and like school this was gonna be required, So it was pretty challenging, but a lot of the guys I went to the academy with, we would all meet up and go over material and stuff like that. So take care of each other.
It's funny because you went to school with my wife. I was actually there the night that you had proposed to Amber.
Were you really?
Yeah, me and Bree were just dating at the time. But I remember that I was hanging out with y'all. I was like, I had already graduated, and y'all had been, because y'all were a grade ahead of me. And I remember you, and there was some other guy that were like trying to do the EMT class or like about to go in the fire academy. I don't remember when it was, but I just remember I was like, hey, so, how is it? And I just remember you were like, dude, it's pretty
rough.
Wait, I don't remember if it was the academy at the time
No,
or
it
the
was
EMT.
it was EMT.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my EMT time.
Because the other guy, he went to the military.
Yeah, he went to the Air Force.
Yeah.
He actually did. He filled out a CPR and was like, I'm going to the Air Force. And he literally left and went to the Air Force.
That day.
Yeah. He's been in the Air Force for a while. I think he's been in Japan, I think he's been in Japan for a while.
Yeah.
But
That's my biggest advice is like find somebody that's either gone through it, going through it, or whatever. If you think like research what you're about to do, before you get in it.
yeah.
But
So going back to the fire academy, it was the first semester wasn't too bad. It was just a lot of like trying to get familiar, trying to get comfortable, being uncomfortable kind of thing. And then the second semester, that's when everything, we got down and dirty.
Right.
That was a lot of physical and mental strain.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when a lot of the firefighter safety class. I'm not sure how y'all's was, but mine was 3. No, actually, no. I think it was like 4 days.
Mine was 4 days
of consecutive suck. It was just constant getting.
I remember they were
super
like,
stressed
y'all
out.
should buy like knee pads.
Yeah.
To have under your turn
And
and
it
I was
did-
like,
didn't
why?
work.
Yeah, it did not do a thing.
Didn't work.
I bought some and it did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They were still shot at the
Open
end.
blisters.
Yeah, and so yeah, no, it was just constantly like crews were yelling at each other, and like, while we're doing the drills, that we would get separated and end up in a bathroom. Like me and another guy ended up in a stall, a bathroom stall.
Oh no!
And they shut the stall door, and they have like these. They have all of these like tools. They're just banging on the thing, just screaming at us. And me and my buddy Steven, we were just like trying to talk to each other. We can't hear a thing, dude. It was just absolute chaos.
They like whole, because I had like my week of firefighter safety was also just like that.
Yeah.
Like they
Just
just force
pure.
you to go into caveman mode.
Yeah.
They're like everyone just gets primal that way.
Yeah. No, there was multiple fights that were almost started. I mean,
Yeah.
while we're inside this drill.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was.
We had a guy
Looking back on it now, I'm just like, wow, that was a lot of fun. But like getting done with it at that particular time, I'm like, wow, that was horrible.
Yeah.
It was
Because
so
I
rough.
went from like folding burritos to like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea how to like cope with this at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, it was nuts.
We had a guy in an open closet, like behind him. The door was behind him, and he's in this closet with all the brooms and mops and everything falling on him. And he calls his mayday, and they're just like, we're all watching him from outside, and just lose his mind, and we're
Yeah.
like, oh no, because we know we're going next, and we're like,
Yeah.
the stress level for us is just like, and then intensified, and I'm like, this is not gonna be good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
no, but
it's
it
funny
was-
because looking back now, because we're all out there for that, and just to watch them, I know exactly what they're going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ah, poor kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just, oh.
Yeah, like trust me, you're gonna look back on this years later and be like, man, that
You're
was.
gonna thank me for this.
Yeah,
But
that
even
was
looking
funny.
at it, like, the reason they do that, to just put that as much stress as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then to watch people kind of flip their minds and flip that switch to actually think about what's going on. And I've seen a couple do that. And you're
Well,
like,
we were talking about this on shift, Russ. I mean, it's like, it's so hard, especially now into the teaching roles that we're in. We give these guys, you know, the skill set and these skills, but like, we can't, like, being in a fire room, or even if you're doing live burns in the academy, like, there's nothing that, no other occupation or anything that these people have done other than firefighting that will prepare you for that environment.
right.
So we give them these skills and then put them in that environment that they've never seen before, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, use those skills, and then they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, they just
Ready,
freeze.
Yeah.
Go. Kind of, if you want to know, like, how to get information from, like, maybe your local department, most of every department has a website or a Facebook page or some kind of social media that will say what, you know, certifications that you need for that job. So wherever you're at, you know, if you're listening from wherever, you can get online to their website and you can find all that kind of information. So
Or even message us, comment.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
Because we were on the same spot. We get done with the academy, we take our test, we're certified, and then we're like, now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
You know,
Where do I go now?
And,
Yeah.
you know, if you live in Texas, you can use TCFP. But, you know, as far as anything else other than that, start, you know, following these pages, or go to your local firehouse and ask them,
Yeah.
you know, you can learn a lot about that. And
Yeah.
look into where you want to work, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you go to a firehouse, you can see a lot about it. If it's a culture that you want,
Mm-hmm.
you know, see if they're out running calls the whole time you're talking to them. I mean,
Yeah.
that might be a department you want to work at
Yeah.
to get experience.
Or
Absolutely.
do a ride along.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah,
Ride-alongs
so
are
we
awesome.
we do ride-alongs, so you can you know, look us up. You can look our names up and find out where we work, honestly. But kind of getting into that. Maybe you've gotten a job offer, or you're about to go and interview, and you know, kind of getting into that. Your first interview for your job as a fireman, and you don't kind of know what to wear, what to think, what to do. You don't.
Because it matters.
It does matter. It really matters.
It matters a lot.
So you don't have to go in like a suit,
3-piece suit, tux,
Yeah.
tuxedo, please,
top hat.
Please don't.
You
do
will
that.
get talked about. For
Yeah.
sure.
Please
That
don't
would
do that.
be.
That'd be
If you
really
get hired,
funny.
though, that would be a very
You're gonna
awesome
walk out
story.
and they're gonna go to the guys and be like, "Did you see that guy?"
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, that would be so funny. A top hat.
it's like, I don't know if you're just really prepared for
is
this.
a joke? Or is
Yeah.
he being serious? Yeah.
But and it also kind of depends on what department you go to, what that process looks like.
Right.
Because ours is a special case. We're not civil service, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of places you go and take a test, and then that depends on if you get an interview somewhere. So our department, you put in, they contact you for the physical agility test, and then if you get past that, then they talk about interviews. So at most civil service departments, though, you take a test, then you go to a physical agility, then maybe interviews, and then it's just different steps for different places.
Right.
Yeah.
And depending on department, they may do what's called a CPAT, and you can actually look that up on YouTube. They may kind of, depending on the department, they might drift from that or call it something different. But you can look up the CPAT and figure out what that physical agility test is before you even go do it. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
You should definitely be prepared for that. Because,
Yes.
I mean, it's
harder
if
than
you've
it
never
looks.
done that stuff before.
It is a lot harder than it looks.
yeah. It
But
looks
if you train
not
for
bad.
it, it's not as bad. But
Right.
it's still it's a difficult
Yeah.
test for sure. So how did your first interview go?
So, you know, I went to, my first department was a civil service, so failed the first test. And then I was like, well, guess I'll try that again. But, you know, I was trying to test at a lot of different places, and I was still working on getting my EMT certification the first time I tested there. But I honestly just wanted to take tests other places just to see what it was like. You know, I was researching. There's books out there to help you get ready for civil service tests, but
Yeah, it was all a bunch of prep stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, I took their civil service test, and it wasn't anything that I had like looked at. So it just depends on where you're going to test for. But I went again. I passed the test, and then we did a physical agility test, and then I made it past that, and then I went into the interview. So I looked up like, you know, I'm like looking up like what interview questions for firefighters and like all the stuff that they ask you about,
That's a good one,
and
though.
you know, still depends on where you go
Right.
on what they're gonna ask you. Because
Yeah.
I went into the interview, a lot of ex-military guys were in my interview because I actually wound up working there and working with a lot of those dudes. And I remember one of them, they were like, "Do you like scrubbing toilets?" And like, I'm like, well, I can't say no, but so I was just like, "Yep, yes sir." He's like, "Really? You love scrubbing toilet? Like you get home and you cannot wait to scrub the toilet?" And I was like, "Okay, so I guess I answered this wrong."
Yeah.
But just stuff like that where it depends on your department and what they have lined out on questions that they ask. And I think at our department, like they were like, "What's the last book you read?" Not including your academy book.
Yeah.
And then I spouted off the book. I was like at reading at the time, or I had like just started it, and I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I said the book, and then apparently it was one that our chief had read, and he was
okay.
like, "What was your favorite part in it?" And like I was just like, "Oh my god," because I had just started the book, and
Did you say I just started it?
I was like, "Yeah, I haven't made it that far, but I think my favorite part is."
Chapter
like,
1.
it was something like I remember. It was something like
Preface.
Yeah.
I really loved the introduction, the sighting.
The title is really good.
It really sets it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like First In, Last Out by FDNY.
That's so funny.
And but it was like, as a rookie, like every job is your job. And then I just remember seeing like some of the officers like smirk, like, "Okay, yeah, you would say that because it's an interview." And then I was just like, man, I cannot get
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the thing is you're going in and they've already done this so many times that they know how to just grill you and to catch you completely off guard. And you're like,
Yeah.
But one thing I will say, I showed up like super early for my interview, and I sat in the office, and like, I mean, it was early enough that like I could tell it was kind of like a hindrance almost, because like,
sleeping bag outside.
yeah, Deidre, she was like, "Oh, yeah, you're not supposed to be here for like, you know, like 45 minutes." So I was like, "Yeah, I didn't have a lot going today."
I was out and about.
And then, you know, our
driving
chief,
by.
he came out and was like, "Yeah, you're early." And I was like, he's like, "Well, instead of sitting here being nervous, do you want to go look at the fire trucks?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought that was, you know, awesome.
Yeah.
And it just broke the ice, and I really saw a lot of the culture that I'm a part of now. Like, and he showed us, and I was asking him just like, "What's y'all's call volume like? You know, like how much training do y'all do?" And then he went and took us over to the Sims house that we have, and I was just like, dude. And then it just fired me up.
That's cool.
more, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
What you?
Yeah, I was so nervous. Just because I wanted to do this for so long, you know. I remember like 15 years ago when I was like, I think I'm going to do it.
You're like fangirling. You're like, this
Oh,
is it? This is
yeah.
happening?
Hard. Yeah, and like I tied my tie the night before and then slipped it off, because I was like, I'm not gonna be late because I don't know how to tie this tie.
Yep.
Slacks, a dress shirt, and a tie is
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that's
You know,
fine.
you want to wear a blazer, fine, but like,
Yeah.
please don't wear it.
Yeah.
Don't,
Like
I can't
church
get over that.
attire.
Yeah, church attire. So,
Flower on your lapel.
Yeah.
but like, I got mustache wax and freaking curled my mustache.
I
There you
remember
go.
seeing you
Dude, oh,
when
yeah.
you were interviewing with all those guys because we had just ran a grass fire.
Oh,
and I remember
really?
I was backing into the station. I remember seeing your face, dude, and you were just like just he was so happy, like just seeing the lights inside.
As
I was
jolly as can be.
like, yeah, man.
Dude, I was like, I want to do that so bad. But yeah, I was real nervous. And then our captain came in the room and he was like, "Are y'all nervous?" And I was like, just like,
Yes, sir.
and the cool thing was he was like, "Well, just relax. We've all been there." And I was like, okay. And for some reason that calmed me down. I don't know why, but it calmed me down. And but yeah, asked a bunch of questions, and one of them threw me off completely. He was like, "How do you make coffee?"
I was just
I was like, "Ooh, you put,
go to Starbucks.
you put the K-cup in the." No, but because I love coffee, and so I told him and whatever. But the questions that they had were amazing questions, and I asked a couple questions about call volumes and stuff like that, and left, and I was like, not getting that one.
Yeah, not getting that one.
And then our chief called me like 2 hours later.
Really?
Yeah.
God, dude, he didn't call me for like 2-3 days.
Yeah, I mean,
Dang.
No, I know. I was stressing.
I know. I must have been awesome. But, yeah, he called me. He called me a couple hours later, and then I was like, I think I cried in the kitchen in there. So, but I was just so excited. So,
yeah.
and then the stress began. So,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it was great. So,
Yeah, no, mine wasn't as. I mean, no, I was stressed out too. I was very stressed out. I did the same thing. I didn't show up as early as you did.
I showed up like excessively early.
Heath is in a tent outside the number 4.
Like, what's this guy sleeping outside for?
The worst part was I think my wife's car was in the shop, so she was using mine, so she had to drop me off, and she was going and doing something with our daughter.
Oh, no.
And so I got there super early, and then I even like hid in a corner like outside because I was so early, and I was like, I'm just gonna go in. I get done with my interview, and then I found that same corner to hide in because I didn't want people to know that my wife drove me there. I was just outside, like, I think it was freezing cold. It was December. I was just like, I can't let them know. I don't have a jacket. Yeah.
That's the funniest thing ever. Oh no. Oh. Man, that is hilarious. I didn't know that.
Not a lot of people know that, actually.
Actually,
now
they
the world knows. Oh my god, that is great.
Anyway, how did yours go, Nate?
Well, it wasn't like that at all. No, yeah, I got stumped with that question too about the coffee. That caught me off guard. But I mean, yeah, there were. I didn't have head chief in there, but I did have a couple other guys in there. But I ended up having my officers for our old shift, and then my current officer. They were in there, but yeah, I don't know. They asked some questions, and I got stumped on one question that one of the lieutenants asked. He was like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a broom, a mop, and a vacuum or something like that. Which one are you gonna use first?" And I just panicked. Like I was like, "I'm gonna mop it first." And he was like, "Wait,
really?
He's like,
Really?
He's like, "You're gonna mop first before you like vacuum or sweep or
Yeah, it's
something?"
wet. It'll stick. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
mop that dirt.
I was like, just a deer in headlights. But
Yeah, because those are questions you're like not expecting.
Yeah.
You're expecting like, what experiences do you have?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is? Yeah.
yeah, I know. So I was just like, I was like, "Look, man, I'm stumped right now. Like, give me a second to think."
That's so funny.
Yeah, but no, the interview went fine after that. And
What did you wear?
Yeah, I wore a white button down, and I can't remember what color tie I had, but I had a tie and then just some slacks,
Yeah.
some boots probably. But Yeah, no. My first interview in my first department, I showed up with just like a button down, and one of my uncle who was on duty, but he wasn't. He was actually in the interview, but he didn't ask anything because of I guess nepotism. Yeah. But so he came out later. He goes, dude, why didn't you wear a tie? I'm like, what? He goes, why didn't you wear a tie? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't own a tie.
Yeah, I'm like, well, no, I did. I had a bunch of ties, but I just didn't wear one. I didn't think about it. And he goes, next time if you interview somewhere else, wear a tie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this one I did, but yeah, like I said, then I had to wait a couple days, and I remember because something that Amber and I were struggling with was we're trying to figure out if we wanted to move back here or move down to the Dallas area, because that was kind of our original plan coming out of the academy. And we just kind of had several long conversations about just where we wanted to end up, because we're like, wherever we go after this first apartment, that's where we're planting. Yeah.
Were you kind of planning on, like, because you were saying like Dallas area, were you planning on like, well, man, now I got to get my paramedic and all that?
Well, so there's actually there was a couple departments there that were taking guys who weren't medics yet. Okay. But I'm sure it's changed now. But at the time, they were only taking.
Had you already
basics.
done your EMT?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this was like after I was certified everything.
Okay.
I was looking for a job. And there were several departments in that area that were just taking basics, and so I was like, well, I'll just go there. No big deal. It's a small-ish department, but. And then anyway, so I'll never forget. We were driving from Amarillo to that neighboring city, and we were kind of in not an argument. We were in a heated discussion. It was just one of those like heavy hitting conversations about like, I don't know where to go. Like, I don't know where we're supposed to go. I'm like, I'm just trying to think like God's gonna put us in the right place. Right. And then we're silent, and then my phone rang, and it was Chief Back. And I answered the phone, and that was when he offered the job. And I was like, and I answered. I looked at it, and I was like, Amber, it's Chief, it's Randall. And then she goes, what are you gonna say? And I'm like, I don't know. And I answered it. And
he go to voicemail.
No, I didn't. Definitely not gonna do that.
Play it cool. Yeah.
So I answered it, and then he said, I want to offer you the job. And I said, yes, sir. I'll take it. And then we hung up, and then we were silent for like 5 minutes driving back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I was like. Amber was like, what just happened? I'm like, I think I just accepted a job.
That's pretty good.
And then the rest is history. But
the funny thing about Chief Back, so I think you know this. I didn't understand all the lingo yet, right? So because I had been in this, and so I called him about the raft, and y'all had actually just taken it, so I missed that one, and. I called him and I go, hello, Mr. Back. And just now thinking of it, I'm like, what the hell did I say? Mr. Back.
He was probably like, yeah.
He was like, yeah. Yes. I was like,
who's this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. But,
sorry, what were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, like, kind of, so now you've got the job, right? Now you're in your rookie year, which I guess is where you were going. But so what are some attributes that maybe you had or that you look for now? Everybody.
So going into it, having no fire experience at that time, having my first 24 hours, I mean, I was just, like we were talking about, just fangirling.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think I showed up to my first shift because
the day before.
Freezing cold in the corner.
Funny you say that. So, you go through your 8 to 5 time, getting all your paperwork done, getting your logins and all this, and getting your gear, and then it's like, here it comes. Here's my first 24-hour shift. I'm showing up. Okay, and so I remember I was packing my stuff for my first 24. And I showed up like an hour, probably more than that, early. Enough that just the captain was awake, and he was just doing the paperwork, and he was like, can I help you? He's like, don't you have a wife at home? And I was like, yeah. Yes, sir. But it got better after that.
Initiative. I'm going to show up early.
Well, and that's what that's all I knew. I was like, I know I need to be early,
Right.
and I know I'm just gonna bust my ass.
Yeah.
You know, that's really was my only goals, because that's really all I knew from a fire academy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, that's what they want, and
That's what I'm gonna
I'll
do.
just go from
Yeah.
there. And especially, you know, when you start working with your crew, you can start learning those dynamics, and it gets easier if like you're starting in a new department and you've already worked at a previous fire department, because you're like it's easier to like notice those things of like
Right.
what they want, or especially if you've had rookies for you in the past, and then you hear those conversations of like, man, that guy he showed up 3 minutes till,
Yeah.
or
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. But something that I look for now, and I've kind of had to change it, because even though we haven't been doing this a long time, it's crazy how fast we've kind of already started to see the generational gaps of, I mean, the kids we're hiring now, I mean, like, we're affected by COVID in high school.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we had jobs by then, and we're most of the way through the academy. So it's like, they talk about that. The older guys kind of talk to us about that, how they're experiencing it with our generation.
Right.
Which I wasn't expecting to start noticing it by now already, but we are. So honestly, the only thing I look for is just coming in early, coming in with enough time, and being coachable.
Right.
Honestly,
That's a big one.
that's what it just boils down to. And there's a bunch of list of stuff, but honestly, just being coachable, like being a sponge,
Right.
like being able to listen to those guys and pick up on, okay, this crew, I'm working with now, they're starting, they clean in the morning, so
Right.
I'm gonna be the first one to do that.
Right.
And this is just something that I had a senior guy tell me whenever I first started at my first department. He was just like, I'm going to make sure that you're not going to work harder than me today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do that every day.
That's really
So
good.
then it's kind of like I had this buy-in of me being like, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
then I carried that over to my new department. And then it is hard whenever you have kids that, I say kids. I mean, I'm a young guy too, but
Right.
having new guys that are younger than me, and they just don't necessarily have that, I can't necessarily ding them for that, because I had that experience over there. They didn't.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's just like read a room, take a joke, and be
Yeah.
coachable.
So you say coachable, and I like that one, because you get guys that are like me, and they're in their 30s when they start this, and their senior hostman is 24, 10 years difference, right?
Yeah.
That's a generation, that's a decade, right? And so for if you're an older guy coming in, you better learn how to put your ego aside and leave it at the damn door so that you can be coachable, because you know nothing. You have to know absolutely nothing, and the guy that's 10 years younger than you knows a lot. And so I like that. And if you have a struggle with doing that, and you're 30, 31, and you're set in your ways, then you're going to struggle. You just are. And if
Absolutely.
you
Yeah, that's a
cannot
big
be
deal.
coachable at your age and learn how to come back down and leave your ego at the door, it's not going to work very well for you,
Yeah.
because you think you know everything and you don't.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, I remember even, like you starting, and I remember because Nate was working on your crew at the time. I was on a different, this is back when we just had 2 shifts, and I remember asking Nate, like when we were in sharing that hotel room for that class in Oklahoma.
For a class.
Let me just clarify something. No, that was part of it. I was like,
Nate,
hey,
you really jumped off.
Had to clarify, all right? Had to clarify.
no, I remember asking, I was like, how's Rustin? Because I knew that you were kind of older, and that's just something that you do think about. Our department's like trending mid-20s.
Mid-20s, yeah.
So that is something that
Absolutely.
could be. I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't know what Nate said, but no.
No, he said, he was like, honestly, we thought the same thing, but he's taking it in stride.
Yeah, no, and I knew that coming in. I knew, one, I had a self-awareness about me that I didn't know anything about this. And why would I try to act like I knew everything from the academy. Like that's dumb. And so coming in, I knew that I was going to have to be coachable, and that is an okay thing. You don't have to be 30 years old or 10 years older than your senior hostman and know everything.
I commend you for that. I mean, because you could have easily been like, okay, well, I don't want them to know that I don't know anything for my age, or I want them to know that I have this life experience and this maturity. You know?
Well, yeah, and to me, life experience and the fire service, they coincide, yes, but they're so different too, because you got life experience, but you don't have fire service experience. And so, be coachable. And that just makes you learn. And that's a cool thing about this whole service is you get to learn every day. And so, but be coachable is a big one.
Yeah, something you said earlier, you were talking about being able to take a joke, having that thick skin. Yeah. That's another big thing that you got to have if you're going to come into this line of work, just because there's going to be some things that you're going to see as a firefighter that are very, very difficult very difficult for the average civilian to comprehend. And some ways that guys cope with those is through some extremely dark humor.
Yeah.
And
it's not, the dark humor is not to make fun of anything that we see. It's to cope.
Yeah.
And that is literally all it is.
Yeah. It's a strange way to cope with some stuff, but as crazy as it sounds, that is a method that people use to cope with that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you joke with other guys that you work with or who were even on that bad call or whatever. It makes it a little bit easier to sleep at night than that. So,
well, especially if you've never been exposed to those things that they see, and then you hear just those jokes, you're just like, what?
Yeah. So, but having thick skin, it's something you need to either figure out or whatever. I mean, bring it up to your senior husband too, because your senior husband's supposed to be like your mentor, supposed to be the person you're supposed to go to for anything and everything, any question you have. And there's no such thing as a dumb question when you're starting out, because you do, just like what you were saying, you don't know anything coming into this line of work. So that's what your senior husband's for. That's what your senior guys are for. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, and even if it's something about how do I cope with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, now with you saying that, how you're going to your senior hostman, and now you are a senior hostman, do you feel more of the eyes on you of newer guys? Like, do you carry yourself any differently, knowing that you're like, okay, I'm this new guy, he's not going to go to the officer for these questions. He's going to come to me.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first calls that I had that were pretty rough, I wouldn't say I necessarily had like, well, no, I did have senior husbands that I talked to, but it was the relationships I had with the guys at the time. When the first call that made me break, that like I went home and I just fell apart. But the next day I went to work. And I told you were one of those guys too. When we talked about it that next day, and it was such a minor call. Like it was like nobody died. And there was no like any serious like crazy traumatic call. But just the way that the call happened, the way these patients were, it hit home. Yeah. And so I remember we were driving back to the station after the call was over. It was a car wreck. And I told Cap, that call kind of bothered me a little bit. I don't know. And he was just like, well, are you okay? Like, do you need, he didn't know what to say. Yeah. He was just like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, kind of caught you off guard.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. And I remember, so this is back when we were 12 hours. So I was going home at this time too. Or we got back to the station and we were coming home. And I remember I could like feel it coming up. And I was like, just bury that down. Because that's kind of the mentality that I kind of like associated with being a fireman. Firemen are supposed to be able to handle all these crazy things.
We cry in the shower like men.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just push it down deep and never bring it back up again.
Cry cold in the corner.
Yeah. His tears freeze.
I didn't cry once.
That we know of. But yeah, no. So then I remember I was driving home and that was hitting me, and then this was right after Hudson was born, so he was still like kind of a newborn. And I remember I opened the door to the house and I walked in, and Amber was doing the dishes and she was holding Hudson, and that was it. I just fell apart right there. and Amber thought something like crazy happened, whatever, right? And I'm just like, give me a minute. I'm like just trying to gather myself,
Right.
but then of course the next day, coming to the guys, talking to them, but
I think that's the cool thing is men come to the station and just either get loved on or get hammered for a minute and bring you back down.
Get hammered.
Yeah, get hammered.
Yeah.
Bring you back down to earth though,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, because that's one thing I love, man. We can give each other a hard time, but we've all been there, and so thick skin I think is a big one. One that's really big to me and very important is your attitude. If you don't have a good attitude and like the little things just piss you off, you just come into the station in the morning and you're just always mad about whatever, and you don't have a good attitude, man, that's gonna reflect off of you onto your crew, onto the rookie. It's gonna,
So you're saying it's
if-
the point of view for like you being a more senior guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but even a rookie coming in, like when I came in, I wanted to have a good attitude every day. That was my goal, is to have a great attitude and be coachable. And whatever, no one was gonna, no one was gonna make me mad. No one was gonna do anything because my attitude was gonna reflect how I handled everything.
Well, and what does that show that new guy that's on fire, on cloud 9? He's just starting. He hasn't seen any of the things that you have yet, but every day you show up to work and your senior guy's just like, you can tell don't want to be there.
Right.
Well, I mean, what does that tell him? He's like, man, is that going to be me in a few years? Or, what did he see that makes him like that? And like, am I going to see that? Am I going to handle it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, day one, come with a good attitude, but then keep that good attitude. Like if you're your rookie year, your first day, you're excited, keep that excitement as long as you can.
Yeah.
And keep that attitude of just, I want to learn. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to absorb everything that everybody is telling me, and I'm going to put all those like we hear in my toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to be like, well, this guy said that it was this way, I'm going to just take and absorb it. And man.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing with this job, is you can do that.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. No, one thing I noticed about having a senior guy was I was attracted to a senior guy that like had his crap together. Like a guy that knew his stuff and was passionate about what he was doing. And so I carried that over to when I started training newer guys. I was like, obviously I'm human. I'm not always going to be 100%. And if I tell you that I am, like, I would be lying to you.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? We've all had those days where...
Absolutely.
And, but just trying to be that guy and also being, like, humble enough to say, I'm not 100% today.
Right.
Hey, man, I know that we really need to be training you on this or that, but I also need you to hold me accountable for that, and just communicating that.
Yeah.
Because we can all say that this is the best job in the world, but we're also human, and
absolutely.
there's days that I show up at the fire station, and as much as it hurts me to say, but not that I don't want to be there, but it's just like I'm not 100% and I can feel it.
Right.
And that's what's cool about working with crews for a while is they can see that, and then now they're stepping up. They're like, okay, he's at 70%, I got to bump up another 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To kind of help.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's having that initiative that, like you're saying, some of those other guys need to see and then pick up on. If you're kind of like, falling short that day or vice versa. But yeah, having, like what you were saying, if you're a new guy needing to train on something specific, hey, I need to go train more on searching. I need to go train more on hose handling. You need to have that initiative to go to your senior guys and be like, hey, I really need to work more on this, or can you explain further on this, or, what have you. But that's going to speak volumes to your crew and your senior guys, and it's going to be like, okay, this guy really wants to learn. He wants to get better. So then your guys are in turn are going to want to pour into you more, and go above and beyond to make you really good.
Yeah,
really good fireman.
It's a great attitude to kind of...
Absolutely.
Because I'll see that, and that'll fire me up. If I'm not 100%, but I have a new guy, it's like, hey, I'm questioning myself about this, and I'm nervous that if we have to do it on a call, can we bust these out for a minute? And I'm just like, yes.
So it's funny you say that because I was like, I don't know, maybe 6 months in or something like that, and we ran that U-Haul that flipped, and it was, I don't know if you were on that day.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that call.
And the guy was stuck underneath or whatever, and so, and Chief is calling for the airbags as soon as we get there, and I was, as soon as he called them, I go,
where are the airbags?
Well, not where they are, how to use them.
Oh.
And I was like, I was just trying to go in my head and thinking of everything, right? And so we get there, and luckily we didn't need them, but we get back, and immediately I was like, can we bust these out? Because I don't like how I felt not knowing what to do, right? And so I didn't like that feeling at all. And so, but yeah, I was like, hey, let's bust these out. Just real quick, I just want to make sure that I can hook them up. Yeah. You know, do what I need to do to get them to inflate. And so
odds are everyone on the crew needs it too.
Yeah, and that's,
you know what I mean? That's the beautiful thing. It's a double-edged sword. So like, it's a beautiful thing about the job, about all the stuff we can do, but it's also, you know, the cutting edge, which is like, there's so much stuff that, and it's all perishable skills that if you don't touch, if you're hitting hard on search, then your extrication might be lacking because you haven't done that since your last extrication a year and a half ago.
Yeah, or your stabilization. So, well, look, we've kind of gained somewhat of a good following in a short amount of time, and we really appreciate all that. Keep following along, keep subscribing. YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We have a Facebook forum that you can ask questions on. You can comment on, do whatever. So we really appreciate everything that y'all are doing.
You can comment on those other pages as well.
Yeah, you can comment on anything. So, but ask questions. You know, we'll answer what we can. So, Heath, you want to take us out?
Yeah. So we had a great time. Next episode, we're expecting a couple red hats with us. So, you know, stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about it and the stuff that we'll cover in that. So, but yeah, so we are Engine Company Podcast. Train hard, keep pushing, and we'll be back in service. Thanks, guys.
See ya.